Good morning. I'm trying something new this morning. Technology is fun. And so yesterday I made a video and turns out there was no audio on the entire thing. So I'm starting new today and I'm trying some new technology. And one of my doggies is in here with me. My kids are playing outside and they may bust in at any point and make this an interesting video, but we're going to try something. So this is going to be Spring Break Packet Review Part 1. I'm going to go over the first 6 questions. So if you haven't done them for some reason, go ahead and do them so that you have that practice and you can see how you did on that. And so I'm going to share my screen on my iPad really quick and see how this works. There we go. Okay, so number 1 says simplify the expression. And so this is going to be an order of operations problem, which means we need to use the GEMDAS strategy. And step 1 for GEMDAS is grouping symbols. So do we have anything inside the grouping symbols? Yes, we do. So I'm going to underline that. 8 minus 4 is 4. Everything else stays exactly the same. And we can cross out the G because we've done the grouping symbols. Step 2 is exponents. Because there are 2 exponents in the problem, I'm just going to go ahead and solve both of those at the same time. 2 to the 4th power, I'm going to come up here and remind you that that means 2 multiplied 4 times. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So this becomes 16. And 3 to the 2nd power means 3 multiplied 2 times. 3 times 3, which is 9. And everything else stays the same. Now we're done with exponents. Next step is multiplication or division from left to right. We don't have any division, so I'm going to go ahead and cross that off, but we do have multiplication. So 9 times 4 is 36. Everything else stays the same. And last but not least, addition or subtraction from left to right. So that means I would have to do this first. Now, you might have thought that's 20, but remember, if you have $16 in your bank account, you don't have $36 to spend. So that would put you in the negatives. So negative 20. And then minus 30. And of course, I'm running out of room here, but I'm going to do the best I can. Remember, when we subtract negatives, we want to box them together. So instead of thinking of this as a subtraction problem, we're going to think of this as 2 negatives. And so same sign, we find the sum, which is 50, and we keep the same sign. So the answer to number 1 is negative 50. For this one and any other ones, if you are still unsure or you're not really feeling comfortable with the problem, stop the recording, go back, listen to it again. That's the nice thing about these videos, is that you can listen to me as many times as possible. It's not like in class where I have to move on. You can spend as much time as you need. Question number 2 says, which expression is equivalent to, and then it gives us this expression, 5 times the sum of A and 4. So I'm going to switch colors. Y'all know I like to do things colorfully. There are 2 ways to solve this problem. I'm going to show you both of them. One way is to use the distributive property. So hopefully you remember when I taught you hippity, that's the first arrow, and then hoppity is the second arrow. So for the hippity right here, we're going to distribute this multiplication. So 5 times A, which is 5A. And you notice that 5A is an answer choice A and D. So I'm going to get rid of B and C because they don't have the 5A. Now, if you pick answer choice A, that means you did the hippity, but you forgot to do the hoppity. So you've got to come back over here and distribute the 5 times the 4, which gives us 20. So that means we don't want the plus 4. That's hippity with no hoppity. Hippity and hoppity is answer choice D. Now, maybe you didn't remember the distributive property or the hippity hoppity part. That's fine. There was another way that I told you you could do these problems. The other way is to substitute in the number 2. So everywhere where I see an A, I'm going to change it to a 2. So in the original problem, I have to do what's in the parentheses first. 2 plus 4 is 6, and 5 times 6 is 30. So we know that one of these answer choices should equal 30, and if it doesn't, it's not our answer choice. So let's look at answer choice A. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. That's not going to be our answer. On answer choice B, 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 plus 4 is 11. Still not 30, so move on to C. 2 plus 20 is 22. Not what we're looking for. Last but not least, 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 20 is 30. That is our answer choice because it equals what we started with. Okay, and again, rewatch that if you're not sure about number 2. Number 3, hopefully you remembered this because this is something we did not too long ago. So remember that the angles in a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. And they gave us 2. They gave us this one and this one. So we're going to add them together. 95 plus 53 gives us 148. And then because we know they add up to 180 altogether, we're going to subtract 180 minus 148. We're going to need to borrow. And it gives us 32 degrees. Okay. Number 4, I'm not going to lie, I did not love number 4 because this really isn't something we've done this year. I didn't make this packet, so it is what it is, but I'm going to go over it anyway. So a lot of you had forgotten what the word congruent means. Now, I promise you, you have heard that word before, but it isn't something that we've done a lot in 6th grade. So the word congruent means same. So these little lines right here are telling you that XY and YZ are the same length. And what we know about triangles when 2 sides are the same length, the opposite angles, so the one across from this one and then the one across from this one, are also congruent or are also the same. So if angle X is 65 degrees, then angle Z is also 65 degrees. If you worked it out to find angle Z, that's fine too. You would have added 65 plus 65 would have given you 130, and 180 minus 130 would have given you 50. So if you got 50, you were actually finding angle Y, and it asked you for angle Z, but that's okay. Number 5, I have not been interrupted by children yet, so I'm going to try to keep powering through this video. Again, this is something we did right before we left for spring break, so hopefully you remembered. And you did have your formula chart on your paper. Remember that it says 1/2. I like divided by 2. It means the same thing. So base 1 was 8. Base 2 was 12. The height was 5. And we divide all of that by 2. 8 plus 12 is 20. Everything else stays the same. 20 times 5 is 100. And then half of 100 is 50. And because it was feet in the problem, that means it is square feet. The area is always in square units. I feel like I should say, any questions? Because that's what I normally would say in class, but you can't answer me back, so I'll have to remember not to say that. Okay, our last question was an inequality question. The soccer team was selling candy bars for $2 each to make money for a camp they want to attend. Their goal was to make at least $240. So there's some inequality language, at least. And at least means 240 or more. So that's why this symbol right here is greater than or equal to. And so it says that inequality can be used to determine B, the number of candy bars they need to sell. Which number line best represents the solution to the inequality? That word solution is super important because some of you might have been looking for 240 on the answer choice, and there's not one that has 240 because you actually have to solve it. So I'm going to rewrite 2b is greater than or equal to 240 because we have to solve it to find the solution. And when we see multiplication, we want to undo that by doing the opposite, which is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. Those are going to cancel out, leaving just b is greater than or equal to. And then half of 240 is 120. 120 is not in between 200 and 240 like these show. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. But if you look on A and C, you've got 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. So both of these have the dot at 120. The only difference is that one has a closed circle and one has an open circle. So don't forget, no line, no mouth guard. So this one, answer choice A does not have a mouth guard, but our inequality over here does have a line. So we need a mouth guard. We need a closed circle. So I'm going to get rid of A because that would be greater than instead of greater than or equal to. So our answer here was C. Hopefully you understood most of that. Again, you are welcome to go back and watch the video again or several times, as many as it takes. And I will do part 2 hopefully later today, if not today, tomorrow. But I'm just kind of still learning the different ways that I can do these videos and screen share and all that. But keep checking my YouTube channel, and I will be sending out the links, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.